Well, welcome to the Poetry of Healing. And as you can see, I have fabulous guests with me. Of course, my guests are always fabulous and special, and you're going to meet them in just a moment because we're going to have like a girls' chat, a circle of sharing right here with you, observing our thoughts and really opening our hearts to talk about retirement. And you think, oh, these ladies are too young to be approaching retirement, but we're baby boomers and we're among tens and thousands of registered nurses who are preparing or who are entering retirement at this time. So, we think we're taught how to enter the profession, but we're not taught how to leave the profession. And so, whether you're a nurse or in healthcare, any profession you're in or any job you're in, if you're thinking about transitioning to not working, please stay with us because we have insight, we have experiences, and especially wisdom because we're all taking this journey together. So we're going to begin with a centering exercise, and then you'll meet our very special guests. And if you've been with me for a while, we're in our fourth season. Can you believe it? If you've been with me for a while, you know I love to facilitate heart math and just take this time for yourself to center, be present, and just allow yourself to just experience things that may help you in life, help you with decision making, help you just manage the elements that may cause you to stress or worry. This is a special place where we kind of neutralize all that and give you tools. So I invite you, it's always an invitation to participate with us, the four of us, in heart math. And it is heart math, just like it sounds. And it's a way of using your breath and your heart to relax. Okay, so I invite you to either lower your gaze or close your eyes. And let's just take a breath together. So you breathe in through your nose slowly and deeply, and then out through your mouth slowly and deeply. Let's do it one more time. In through your nose, and then slowly out through your mouth. And what we're going to do is called heart-focused breathing. And so your heart, left side of your chest, you might want to place your hand there just so that you can feel your breath going in and out, and just put that warmth over your heart. Okay, so let's breathe in slowly. Deepest breath you've taken today. And as you take a breath in, imagine your heart expanding. That big, beautiful heart. And now take a breath out and imagine your heart contracting. Okay, really slowly. Take a deep breath in through your nose and watch your heart expand. And then exhale slowly and feel your heart contracting. And do it on your own. Inhale, your heart expands. And you can do this anytime or any place. You don't have to close your eyes, and you can get the same calming effect. Breathing in and your heart expand and out. Yes. And so as you just let your body take over your breathing, just let it take over and its natural rhythm now. Yes, just allow. And using your breath to relax is also very effective. You always have it. Just in and out. And so together we're going to take a breath in and then out as you notice your surroundings. Take another breath in and out and notice what's happening in your body. And lastly, take a breath in. And as you breathe out, you can gently open your eyes and enter this special place that we've created today. So if you've just joined us, this is the Poetry of Healing. I am Paulina Van, and we have these beautiful guests here, and we're going to be talking about the path of retirement. And what I said was, what they don't tell you about retirement, we're going to tell you about retirement, our own experience. So I am going to say welcome to each of you, and I'm going to ask each of you to just introduce yourself, tell us what major roles you had in nursing. If you want to add how long you've been in nursing, you can do that too. And just share with us your favorite job and why. So I'm going to start. I am celebrating 50 years in nursing this month. And if I had to do it all over again, I would choose the same career. And I've had many roles, mostly in nursing administration in the hospital and academia. And my favorite role was when I was a surveyor, licensing hospitals and other healthcare facilities. It was the lowest paying job, I must say, but it brought me so much, how can I say, satisfaction, because every time I did a survey, the littlest decision or what may be the simplest decision I made a difference in someone's life. So, Charlene, would you?
Sure.
Welcome. Mhm.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. So great to see you again. So, I am Charlene Johnson, and I have been in the profession for 32 years. And I have kind of dipped into the NICU, maternal child health, nursing leadership. And I think I would have to say my favorite would be the NICU, because I felt like I was being like that mama, the NICU mama, when the other mothers couldn't be there. So it really felt like a calling. And it was my first one. And I got my dream job after nursing school as a NICU nurse. So that would be my favorite. And thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Charlene. And Laura.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. I am Laura Gorby. I had to do the math, but yes, I've been a nurse for 50 years. And the first half of my career was spent up in the West Coast in Portland, Oregon. And because I was a single parent, I was always looking for like Monday through Friday jobs. So I had a very colorful career. So I did home health for a long time. I was director of a hospice. I managed a staffing agency. But the last half of my career has been in education, nursing education, starting from a practical nurse program to an ADN program to a BSN program. And now I'm at a medical school teaching doctors now. So I guess I would say all of those education positions have been my favorite, because that's what you're supposed to do in the last half of life, is mentor.
Thank you, Laura.
Or, I mean, final cycle of life, something like that. Thank you.
Well, we're not in the final cycle. We're in the golden cycle, right? Thank you, Laura. And Anne.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Paulina. This is just a joy to be with Laura and Charlene and you. My career is in its 44th year, and I've done a lot of things also, but I'd have to say that my favorite job ever was unpaid, completely unpaid, a volunteer position as a massage therapist at the local hospital here. That was many years ago, and my career has started in oncology, went to hospice, but always had been a healer. And so my biggest joy is teaching the healing arts to nurses, which I've been able to do at different points in time. And last 20 years as an acute care case manager and care coordinator, and then a transfer center RN. So busy times, and that's where I've come. And here I am today. So,
And we're glad. We're glad
you.
you're here. And so what I forgot to mention that I am in education. I have been in education and research for the last 30 years. I don't know how I forgot that, because I absolutely love what I do now. And that's the dissonance, or that's the challenge with dealing with retirement and making that decision. But we're all connected because we're on that path, some point and on that path. And for the longest, I thought I was by myself. I thought I had these thoughts of retiring and the struggle. And then Laura and Ann and I are in a weekly healing circles. And there were many weeks that we all talked about the retirement struggle. So I thought, you know what? We need to have this conversation, because not only are we struggling with it, many nurses and others are struggling with retirement. So before I tap into your wisdom, I want to just lay the foundation with some statistics. And those viewers who are with me know that I love research and love statistics. And I'm just going to share some to give some context about nursing. So the latest national sample survey of registered nurses by HRSA was released a little over a year ago in March 2024. And it reflected the opinions of 49,000 registered nurses in the United States. So there are about 4 million nurses in the United States. So it's just a sampling. And the results showed that over half the nurses, so about 56% of the nurses, are age 45 or over 45. Approximately 34% of us are baby boomers and nearing retirement age by year 2030. And the annual retirements from nursing, the nursing workforce has increased 20,000 a decade ago, from 20,000 a decade ago to nearly 80,000 a year currently, as we baby boomers age. Well, I'll call it not aging, we're more seasoned, okay? More than 25% of registered nurses have reported their plans to retire during this survey and within the next 5 years. So, of course, with that many nurses retiring, there are predicted shortages. And, you know, there's not consensus on these numbers, because I know some of our colleagues who are in the workforce development and workforce evaluation field may have different numbers, but I'll just share these from a recent study that over 1 million registered nurses plan to retire from the workforce between now and 2030. And so that means the shortage is going to be approximately, we're already in a shortage, right? And so approximately another 1 million nurses. So given that backdrop, maybe we can see why we're feeling a little guilty uh, planning to retire or have retired. So I'm going to ask you, I have some prompts here that I'd like to ask you. And the first is, what was the moment, or was there a series of moments that told you it was time to retire or to start preparing to retire? Anyone?
I don't mind going. So I think mine is a little bit probably different. I'm not quite a baby boomer. I think I'm 2 years from that. So, but I'm 58, and I believe that my whisper in my heart was talking to me for 6 years minimum. And it expressed itself through a little bit of discontent and a little, restlessness going on. But, you push through that, you continue doing what you're doing. But then as I continued, I took some time off, and I really wanted to find out what my heart was trying to tell me. And that's where it was confirmed in 2024, January, that, okay, Charlene, it's time for you to go. So I think I had like soft whispers for about 6 years. And then I finally got the courage and I needed some courage to do it, because it's not easy to leave comfort. And so I finally got it, and I'm so glad that I did. So that's how I'm going to say mine kind of took off. It was always knowing that there's something else calling you to do something, because I started being a little bit discontented.
Thank you, Charlene. What about you, Laura?
Thank you. So the need to retire has really just emerged kind of recently. I just recognized an inward shift that I wasn't as excited about projects or getting onto them. I wanted to get up and journal and not get on the meeting. I was also struggling a little bit with, even though I'm good on the technology, I was struggling a little bit with, like, if it was a new website or so there wasn't really a moment, but the shift happened relatively much in the last year. There is so much that I gain from being there and engaged that there's some fear attached to that, but I know in my heart it's the right direction. So
thank you, Laura.
It wasn't like I'm done, or like some people are. It's just, there was a moment, just a shift within me to go inward.
Anne, what about you?
Well, I share some of the same sentiments that Charlene and Laura have brought forward, but I think that with me, it was more of a whole body, whole life sort of decision. It was time. The job I had been doing for, quite some time was more and more and more a first responder's job. And that was so not me after a while. And I just realized, that kind of intensity was not sustainable for my physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health anymore. And it did take a lot of courage. It took me a few years too to really decide to take off the headset and step away from the computer one last time. And it was really for self-preservation. And I had a lot going on to support me in that, in all the nursing networks that I belong to and all the nursing friends that I have. We really are not alone. And so the more I shared, the more we shared, the more we created this community of just supportive, loving friends. And so it wasn't as though it was hard for me in the way of letting go to something I loved so much. It was more the courage it takes to say, okay, I trust that I'm going to be cared for and that all this hard work is paid off. And so there I am. And the fact is, it's all going to be okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Thank you. Thank you, Anne. And for me, it wasn't a moment. And matter of fact, I have to tell you, I put my letter in a week ago today, and I'm still not ready to retire, but I know it's time. And 2 years ago, I said I was going to retire August 2023. And I said, oh no, I can't do it. This fear swelled up within me. And I just want to share that it's more than financial. When that's easy. You check that out and you check that box. It has to do with the mind, the spirit, the purpose. And I absolutely love what I'm doing. I love mentoring. I love teaching. And even though the letter's there, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there this time. Just before we signed on, I had a meeting, and one of the media guys who has been at the university a long time, I announced to the group, I said, I'm retiring. He says, oh, for the third time? I don't believe you. I have to see it. So it's this back and forth and back and forth. And so viewers, if you've just dropped in, it's a group of baby boomer professional nurses talking about retiring and the path and the journey that we are all of us are on some part of the journey. Charlene, you're retired. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How long? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm officially about 9 months retired. Yeah, I really like what you said, Paulina, because I think that is the struggle. The struggle is like what I found once I retired. I was excited to retire. I was like, oh, cool, no more golden handcuffs, because that's what I used to call it. And so then I found myself stuck because I was excited. I was writing books. I was doing content. I was doing all of that, but then I found myself stuck. I could not move forward. And so I recognized that I had to do some decompression of some of the things that I had experienced. And so, but once I did that and allowed the healing to flow and come forward, it took me about a month. But I had, because I was misaligned for so long, I had adopted and developed, I call it soul pain. When your soul is misaligned for so long and then you push through anyway, and then once I found that quote, you don't die when your heart stops beating, you die when your heartbeats have no meaning. That's when it really started, I really started beaming into, okay, Charlene, you really have to do this for your well-being now. This is not about anything else but me being able to do what I really want to do in the last part of my season. And so that's so I really resonate with what you said right there, because my value, I had placed my value in what I do versus who I am. And so I had to get to the place of, you know what, this title does not define me. I am so much more than my title, but I was so used to had conditioned myself to be so busy that when it was time for me to pause, it was hard to pause because my mindset wanted to keep saying, I'm busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, because I thought my success was within that. So I totally got major transformation, healing, and know that my value is in the presence that I bring to the work that I do, that I'm still doing. And so that's why I'm not necessarily retired. I'm kind of refired and now doing the things that my heart wants to do.
Oh, Charlene, you have opened up so many. So I'm going to toss my question. So I'm just I was going to ask about healing later, but you opened that door. So let's Anne and Laura, let's talk about healing. What in this journey, and please say where you are in the journey. I just put my letter in a week ago. So just say where you are in the journey, and what do you believe retiring, preparing for retirement, or retiring, or being retired, what will you be healing from? So,
I can participate on this one. Again, with Charlene, that misalignment, that trying to be who you are in the workplace, knowing that there's so much more to really fulfilling your purpose on this planet. And these are the questions that continuously have come up for me even now. And I know that this ability to leave the work behind is such a blessing because and all along I think that in terms of healing, what am I healing? Well, it's that misalignment. It's also, I realized that I wasn't curious anymore. And with some of the programs with the Nursing Way and Mary's art class, artistic expression and healing for nurses, I took the class 3 times. So I have become a poet again. I have become now an artist. And through the expressive arts, healing happens. The peace that we're looking for can expand. Just like the exercise with HeartMath in the beginning, doing art can do that for you. And it doesn't matter. We were free to express ourselves any way we wanted to in a safe space. So, healing some of the wounding of our healthcare system and what it imposes upon us is a lot of what's going on now. And again, the calendar's full. I don't know what I did when I did work. How did I have time for all these things? So it's stepping into life in a bigger way, in a more grounded way, and in a more way that's filled with discernment and wisdom and all the other things that go about happening naturally when you have time to reflect.
thank you, Anne.
So thank you.
Laura, what would you like to add? And are you retired already, or you are? Okay.
Yes, I retired officially last June, but didn't really wrap it up until a couple months ago. And really, even that dragged out. So it's now official. I'm retired.
Okay. So, and you bring up an excellent point. Congratulations. But even when you retire, there's this lag that you have to clean up. Either it's hundreds of emails in your inbox, or wrapping up projects, or transitioning and passing on your courses, whatever it might be. So I'm glad you brought that up. But I addressed that. I stopped. I'm not retiring until September. But in March or April, I stopped committee work so that I could have the time, because I'm still teaching, have the time and not, it'd be Christmas Eve and I'm still wrapping up a loose end. So that's just a tip. We're going to talk about tips at the end, but I just thought I'd share that. Laura, what would you like to add?
So I would say, that my calendar is my primary relationship. I don't know. I guess I would be healing from, that attachment to agenda or adherence to a time clock that isn't exactly mine, and that I can really be grounded in the present. And yes, life will offer unexpected events. But to be able to re-engage in those things that matter most, to slow down, be still, turn inward, self-reflect. At this thought today, it's like with conscious intention, because mine too is also entering eldership, not just retirement, right? So that you enter that door that opens to the inside with heart first, gracefully, and emerging and revisiting those things that who am I? What values do I have? Legacy leaving. I'm leaving some legacy in my professional work as well as some of my personal things that I'm working on. And I feel like I won't be severed. I'm going to have a large professional group here. I can stay connected through some professional development initiatives or just some circles, things like that. So I don't know that I'm healing from anything, but I will miss that just shoulder to shoulder, incidental learning that happens and feedback with fellow professionals. So I have some concerns about how I will replace that. I know that I'll have purpose, but I want to make sure I have that good feeling and that professionalism that is there.
Laura, are you retired?
No, but I planning to retire December 31st. I have not put in my letter yet. I know a colleague put in his and retracted it 3 times. I first was going to do September, but then I decided the fiscal year is September. So I thought maybe I should just go to the end of the year. So, but I have these big blocks of time in that fall semester, which has been difficult, that I'll be absent. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Laura, you brought up what you're bracing for. So I'm going to ask Charlene and Anne, who have retired already, what surprised you most after retiring?
I think what surprised me most was because I talked about the misalignment, what surprised me most is how I allowed myself to give out all of my slices of bread and become empty. So I was a little surprised at that because I'm really good at taking care of myself and, doing all of the different things that we know how to do. But when I got to that point of being frozen and stuck, it's like, wow, Charlene, how did you get here? You know all of the techniques, you know all of the things, but when your soul is keeping score, I wasn't used to that. And so that's, I think that was the most surprising part to me, in that it wasn't a quick thing and then I was okay. It was a process for me to go through purposefully and intentionally, to feel the pain of it, to feel the joy of it, to sit in both of those spaces at the same time with a beautiful diamond coming out of it. So that part of it was very interesting for me, because I would have told you, if you asked me if you think I thought I was going to go through that, I'd be like, oh, there's no way, I know too much. But no, when your soul is involved, your soul has a different script when you really authentically listen to your heart. And so that was my surprise.
What about you, Anne?
Well, what is so surprising, and I think I mentioned it before, is just that there's so much that one can do in a day. And I fill my life with, of course, helping others, being more available to my family, which was really important. But in terms of the things that I've worked through over this time, it's really about that professional identity. And when you don't have that on paper and in your direct deposit, there's some adjusting that needs to be done there. And you go around the world looking at it differently. And there's so much more opportunity for me to be my authentic self here now, without the stress of the job I was doing. So it's always been my purpose to come and be here and help people, but now I can do that from a much more grounded and full-hearted perspective. And like you say, it's very easy. We're trained to give it all away, and that's what I'm working on now. I don't have to give it all away all of my life doesn't have to be devoted to others all the time. And so it's regaining some sense of what it's like to be in the world as just a person rather than a nurse. There's so much to being a nurse, and we feel so huge in so many ways that our community is the planet, right? And so I'm honing that down just a little, starting with taking care of me and then my family and the community in a way that's free and that I can choose to do. And that's powerful for me. So that's bringing a lot of joy.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And viewers, you may hear this theme about us being defined by our roles. And it's not that the employer made us do this, it's just the values that we brought into the profession, developed while in the profession, that we gave our all and then some. And for me, what I'm bracing for and why I've retracted retirement so many times is because, and my late brother said it so profoundly. I'll just regress a little bit. He was in a coma for about 6 days. And when he woke up, he said to me, well, I said, what year is it? I'm trying to test his orientation. And he said, it's 2004. And I said, no, it's 2014. He says, well, are you still working the same way you've been working because you are defined by your job? And that was a wake-up call for me, because while he was in the hospital, we thought he was going to pass away. And so family members were coming, and there were spouses I didn't know. There were new babies I hadn't met because I was working so much. And so what I'm bracing for is I need to learn how to value. I value relationships, but I felt that my job didn't do this. I take responsibility for it. I just put so much into my work because I cared so much about the students I was serving, or the leaders I was supporting. And you only have a limited amount of space, mental space, physical time. And I'm bracing for a reconnection with those relationships. And I am blessed to have friends and family who still stuck by me when it took me 2 weeks to return a phone call, or I didn't make the birthday party or the wedding or the baby shower. But that bracing has been, I'll say, part of the fear, because I've seen and I've experienced colleagues who have retired and they didn't have a plan, and they either got a serious illness or either passed away. And that is the greatest fear. I know it may not be rational, but it's real. And so, but I have a plan now. And I'm feeling a lot better about it. So if you have just joined us, we've been talking for the last 40 minutes, we've been talking about the decision of retiring, and the fears, and just the inner workings, the mind, what our minds are thinking as we travel this path of retirement. So I'm going to ask you, and we all talked about letting go, but what have you found to be the hardest to let go as you are on this path, either in retirement, or Laura and I are making our way down the path? Charlene and Ann have made it.
You know, the hardest thing to let go, honestly, Paulina, it has been actually easy to let go because, um, yeah, it's been kind of easy to let go in a sense that there's a quote that I put in my book, and it says, "Moments that feel like endings are often disguised beginnings." And so I've sprouted up anew and fully authentically in being who I was destined to be, just like Anne was referring to. So I release that old me that didn't know how to say no. And
Mhm.
I stepped into this powerful me that says I'm only doing things that align with my soul. And so, that I guess that's what I would say, releasing the old Charlene that put up with all of the stuff that she put up with and jumping into this powerful Charlene that still has value, even though I don't have my original title.
Thank you, Charlene. And
Well, thank you for that perspective too, because I am not really having any hard time letting go of the past, and I think that's a practice. Uh, you know, it's really what happened for me was as soon as I decided, because of all these factors, that this was just not sustainable for me anymore, and it was time to let it go. It gave me the freedom to build up a new life for myself, one that I've been waiting for. And I think that it's been easier than I thought it would be. And so the hard, maybe that's a mindset shift that we have to do. And we just can lift ourselves out and plant ourselves again, like Charlene said, sprouting up, this whole metamorphosis of what can be for us the things that we love the most. And those are the things that fill our days. And then there's going to be nursing projects. I will guarantee you there will be projects you're going to want to get involved with, whether it's being a political activist or, standing for your family members in the system. I'm finding that the wisdom that's been gathered all this time is now being called upon. And so we will never stop being nurses. We will never cease having all these experiences in our history, and it is valuable. And the community needs us, whether we're retired or not. So, I mean, yes, I'm choosing what I want to do with my life now, but I'm also available as a professional voice to comfort our humanity. That will never change.
thank you, Anne. Laura, I'm going to ask you a different question. What are you learning about yourself now that your role, you're kind of, you're going to let it go and it won't no longer be at the center of your life? What are you learning about that?
Well, I'm learning, or I've known, that relationships are important to me. And I'm finding that I'm I'm putting more of these heart-centered tasks into action,
Mm.
more so, and integrating them in how I talk and what I do, and less into the, the to-do list.
Mhm.
So I am already recognizing that I won't be letting go of any of the relationships, really. They might have a little bit of a shift, but I'll be holding on to the ones that are friendships, and I think those will deepen.
Mhm.
So I'm learning that everything that I've done in this walk on the planet in my profession as a person, as a daughter, as a mother, as a sister, as all those things have brought me to this place that I am now. And I don't think I'm losing anything. I'll be able to carry those things forward into everything I do or into how I engage in all human encounters
Mm.
wholeheartedly or whole heart first or something.
Mhm.
So I'm learning that I just continue the way I have been. The titles, I don't know. I have others. I'm kind of hard to get rid of, so I'll be around in different ways. So
Mhm.
thank you for that question.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll just share that what I'm learning about myself is that anytime I interact, uh, guide, support another person, it doesn't have to be in a structured environment. Right now, I really feel that I'm going to miss the interaction with the students that I teach, that I guide into the profession. I'm going to miss their aha moments. I'll tell you, an aha moment from a student is just life giving, enriching, enhancing. But I can still get what I'm learning is there are different ways that I can still have that connection. And there's so many opportunities for mentoring. It's just incredible. So the last question, well, near to the last question that I want to ask you is, what truth about retirement do you wish someone had told you? And what do you know now for sure? So I'm going to ask Anne and Charlene to respond to that since you are retired.
Well, here's the thing. The retirement, this whole thing, what does it even mean? I mean, does it retiring, is it that we get new tread on our tires? I mean, I don't know. Or our tiredness? I don't know. But what I think is, the thing that was most surprising, and thank God for my husband, okay? He helped me get through all of the money part and the moving of the funds and doing all of that. But, it is the money part is kind of shocking. Um, and I think that was a little bit of a learning curve for me. We just make adjustments and focus less on, um, consuming and more on appreciating and being grateful. So I think that was, it's a hard part. And I think that's the part that keeps people in the job for far too long. Okay, people stay too long, you know, and if you had known you could have done this, a few years ago, maybe I would have done that. But at any rate, that's my perspective on stuff that surprises you and that you have to work it through.
And I'm so glad you brought money up again because it is one of the things, not the only thing, but one of the things that keeps us and our colleagues working longer than we should. But the reality is, and I found this out as well, is that we really, well, I can't say everyone, but for the most part, you may have the resources you need to retire if you make the adjustments. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if that's one nugget that we can share with you viewers that are listening, get the financial assessment, the evaluation done really early so you can just take that off the table, because you'll be surprised that you may be able to make it without the either regular monthly check coming from the employer in the form of a salary, because a lot of people have retirement pensions, or that biweekly check. Yeah, it's a mental switch. Yeah. Charlene, what would you like
Yeah,
to?
you know what? You actually took the words out of my mouth that I wish somebody would have told me, Charlene, you have enough. I had enough. I had enough. And when I was feeling like, okay, I need to do something different, I had enough. But I just hadn't, my mind was saying that I didn't have enough. So I had to physically get the assessment and say, oh my God, what's wrong with you? You've already had enough. So I think that's one of the things that I would definitely tell anybody, just check it, because a lot of times you have enough. And then here's the other part. If you're a person that you know that you're not done, you're going to be doing something else, we can use our expertise to do other things to make income. And so that gift and that dream that you have on the inside will take you somewhere where you can also get paid as well, if that's something that you want to do. So because I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't limit your potential, because your potential could possibly get you more than what you were getting when you were getting paid.
Mhm.
That's what I'll say.
Excellent. Excellent. So we're really getting into tips, and both Anne and Charlene have given us a tip. I think I dropped one in there too. Laura, what tip would you give someone either thinking about retirement? Yeah, so because that's our lens right now. We are on the path to retirement, not retired. Yeah.
I guess the tip would be kind of like what Charlene said: pause. Um, what what are the barriers? What are the fears? You do think it's hard to give up that 6-digit income check or whatever it is, but really, it's not about that, especially if you're not all that extravagant and so on. So I would just say, pause and recognize that, there's a lot more time in the rear view mirror than in the front one. Don't have that. What is the one thing you want to do with the greatest thing you have left, your life? So, yeah, why don't you think about shifting your resources, your attention, your actions, your gifts going forward into reinventing? You said refiring. I've heard it called rewiring, reinventing yourself. Yes. So think about what the fears are, or the barriers, because fears aren't always real, right? Sometimes we just we're creatures of habit, right? I think that's the tip I would give myself and others.
Okay. Well, I'll call you my sisters. This has been personally, I want to thank you for just coming and just bearing your heart, your soul, giving us a window into the mind of this journey, making the decision to retire, retiring, navigating that. I just thank you so much for just your vulnerability and your transparency and your caring and coming from the heart, because each of you did that. And viewers, I hope you felt that this was really a heart share of journey of retirement. And this is Nurses Celebration Month, Nurses Awareness Month. And it's kind of like a dichotomy, because nurses are graduating and we're supporting nurses graduating to come in the profession, and we're leaving. And so it's or have left. And it's very, very difficult. But as we have, I hopefully have illustrated and illuminated that life after working and having a defined role can be even richer, because there's no ceiling. There's a saying, an adage, the world is your oyster. Is that the right word? Right? Yeah. That there's so many possibilities. And I usually read a poem at the end, and I was trying to find it because it talks about possibilities, but I can't put my hand. Oh, here it is. I found it. See, when I thought I couldn't find it, I found it. So this is my book. Oops, Regala Healing. And if you have the book, it's on page 39, and it's so many possibilities. So many possibilities exist for me. So many possibilities appear in a spree. So many possibilities are creating an aura. So many possibilities keep me in flight like a Sephora, and a Sephora is a bird. And that's what we are. We're in flight, right? So thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Anne, for this incredible, enriching time. And please keep me honest and keep me on the road. I don't want to retract that retirement letter. It's there. It's there and it's staying there. So thank you once again. And I'm going to say goodbye to you now. And of course, we're connected, so we see each other anyway. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me just thank you, Charlene, and thank you, Laura. Viewers, I hope that this time that we've had together, my sisters just sharing their journey, either in retirement or on the road to retirement, has been helpful for you. And as always, I hope that you join me again the first and third Sunday of every month right here on blackdoctor.org, 9 a.m. Pacific time and noon Eastern time. Until I see you again, I wish you love and light, joy and wonder. Thank you. I'll just share how you can get my book. Oops, sorry. There it is.